way to the southern Pantanal, we didn't want to miss the area around Bonito with its many rivers and hills. One of the highlights to visit here is snorkeling in a leisurely flowing river. In addition to good instruction, we also received great equipment. Wetsuit, mask, fins, everything was there and in a very good condition. The underwater world is not really outstanding. There are fish, but mostly sporadically. But apart from that, it is above all the feeling of floating so comfortably in the water that is fun. You glide along weightlessly, don't have to concentrate on anything other than the gentle underwater world, and you can just enjoy it. Letting yourself drift for about an hour is almost like meditating. The head becomes wonderfully empty, the soul full. What else you want? On the way to the jungle lodge we had to cross several bridges, but this one was a little special, only for 15 tons and made of wood. But we trust the construction of the Brazilians, and indeed, bridge and globe remain intact. The next bridge is huge and elegantly arches over the Rio Paraguay. And then there is the turn-off to the jungle lodge, which was recommended to us by people in Bonito. From here you can make trips to the southern Pantanal. We are looking forward to it. The lodge is in the middle of the forest, right on the river, which also explains why the huts are on stilts. We are allowed to camp in the parking lot. While waiting for the guide, we can see jabirus, a kind of stork, on the shore. The birds are used to guests, so we can get quite close to them. Quite big, these creatures. The boat tour turns out to be pretty but uneventful. There is too much and too fast driving. Animals cannot be observed like this, except caimans. We don't give up that easily and therefore book another excursion on horseback. It takes place on a neighboring ranch. The horses make a well-fed and cared-for impression, so that we're confident that they are able to carry our not inconsiderable weight. The lands are wide and open, and Peter is doing well as a horseback tourist, but the whole thing is rather boring. Apart from a small explanation about the growth of the trees, we see and experience nothing. Well, you can't always be lucky with the guides. So we made our way to the border to Bolivia. First it took us 2 hours to leave Brazil as it was busy that day. Then we went over to the Bolivians. There is obviously a lot going on here as well, and the customs officer asked what we want. Enter the country, what else? Okay, we should drive further on to the right. We do that, but they didn't want to open the gate. That meant turning back somehow. But how and where? First drive down the street a bit further until we have the opportunity to make an elegant turning maneuver using a side street. It worked fine. The grandiose chaos that prevailed at the border station was also great. Everything is very narrow, completely overloaded by traffic, and the creative driving style of the residents does the rest. And finally Peter made it, only to have to drive after all into the gate that we had aimed for at the beginning. But the really sad thing about this story was that we were not allowed to enter the country because someone stole the license plate from the quad. We had to turn back.